Good afternoon and welcome to the LFC Daytrippers. It is our fifth full-time Reds of the year. It's finished at Molineux, 1 goal to Wolves, 3 goals to Liverpool. It is a very lovely way to start a Saturday morning/afternoon, especially after that first half. I'm your host, Matt. I'm joined tonight by Chris Brack, as is becoming usual for us on Full-Time Reds. How's your day so far, Chris?
Well, your start to the show was a bit like Liverpool's start, a bit substandard, mate. You know, take it off mute first; it helps. So, I'll be honest, mate. I messaged you at half-time. Went, it's got to be one of those shows, isn't it, mate? Oh yeah. No, because I'm buzzing, mate. Because listen, once again, as I've put in my thing, those Reds find a way of winning again. We've got goals everywhere in the team. We've got depth. We've got depth in the attacking area. It's brilliant. All that is really good. But fuck me, that first half was absolutely atrocious. That was almost on par with when we got battered 3-0 at Wolves. And the only thing we can say is good job Wolves can't shoot. Because genuinely that first half was dreadful. But as our good friend Kev said, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. That's also for the league, that's also how you in games. And listen, I think game for Klopp, this would be a perfect result because it's like, great, got rid of the 12:30 hoodoo. Amazing. I've got the win. Amazing. There's still loads of things to work on though, so we can still do the Ronnie Moran temper expectation. Going, yeah, that's great, we won, but come on, we've got to do better than this. You can't keep starting like this. We need to find a better way, both the manager and the players. So listen, can't argue though, mate. 13 points out of 15. I'll take that all day.
Exactly. And top of the table as it currently stands right now. So it's in its infancy, but you can't be there at the end of the season if you're not in and around there at the start and all throughout the season. I mean, it feels like this show is going to be very much broken up into talking about the halves in isolation of each other. Because
Chris Golden, that's the comment of the day so far. That sums us up. We were going to be brothers, you me both feel like, oh Jesus, I don't want to talk about this.
Yeah. There was the possibility that we were just going to do a rerun of last year's Full-Time Reds of the 3-0 at Molineux and just sit here and react to that instead, because it was feeling very same for same sake. What wasn't the same, though, was the lineups. Lineups come out, and back four of Gomez, Matip, Kwanzaa, and Robertson. So Konate obviously not fit enough to make the start. Alexis McAllister, though, coming back from on top of a Bolivian mountain playing football 4 days ago, gets the start in the middle of the park. Jones, Szoboszlai beside him. So that's the same midfield three that we saw against Aston Villa. And then Salah, Gakpo, and Jota, which I think pretty much everybody expected would be the front three, come out there. But Jarell Kwanzaa gets his first start for Liverpool, Chris. Big shout.
I mean, I think we were talking about it a few days back. We said, well, if Trent and Konate aren't fixed, that kind of was the back line, because you went. I think everyone, because we'd had Konate back for 2 days, thought, oh, maybe he might be all right. So actually, that would help. Well, look, when I saw him start, I thought, well, obviously, Konate's not close enough, so we don't want to risk him. But also, I thought, well, fair play to that, because when he's come on, he's actually done all right. And look, you may have a debate later about man the match and stuff like that. But do you know what? I think all of the back four can have we can have a pop at all the back four for the goal we conceded, and we'll cover that aside. I kind of thought he just did what you kind of wanted him to do as a centre back. I think what doesn't help him is he's just playing at the back with 2 mutes, because Joe Gomez don't talk. Matip, who's the senior centre back there, I don't think he speaks, and I think that's kind of a problem to him. And I'm looking at Robertson next, which probably helped, but which is probably why Kwanzaa ended up playing on the left. I think he's naturally more of a right-sided centre back, but. Listen, fair play to him. I must admit, I was surprised McAllister started.
Me too.
He's come back, was literally pitching, on oxygen, because he's got to go and play in Bolivia up a mountain. So I thought, there's no way he can start. And in a nice way to Klopp, he kind of made yourself look a bit soft, really, because you've gone in on a journalist about it. I actually think it was a stupid question, because the answer's obvious why he didn't like the 12:30 start. But then to start a guy who, and let's be honest, he was arguably one of the worst players on the pitch. And I just generally think it was because he just looked knackered. Yeah. He couldn't trap a ball. He couldn't pass it 2 yards. All the things that basically are very un-McAllister like, because he's an excellent player. But he just had an absolute stinker. And I kind of think for Klopp, I think you got your setup wrong there, to be fair. But listen, we'll come on to the positive side of Klopp in the second half, because I think this does need highlighting more than it does, to be fair.
Yeah, to me, that was the story of the first half was just I think it was a mistaken selection from Klopp of going with McAllister again. I would have thought that Endo was going to start this game. Clearly, he's probably earmarked to start on Thursday against Lask as we start our Europa League campaign. But yeah, McAllister he was really, really slow on it. A couple other notables before we get into it. 100th appearance for Curtis Jones, which is fantastic for him. 200 appearances for Andy Robertson. And of course, he gets to lead the team out of the tunnel wearing the captain's armband and ends up rounding off his day quite nicely.
Yeah, we'll come to that. We'll come to that. I mean, I agree with John there. Gomez as an inverted fullback, I agree. I think Gomez is a good, solid defender. He's not an inverted fullback. So asking him to go into midfield to do the Trent stuff is a bit... Why? And also, Soppers like McAllister and Jones, there's enough talent there and enough creativity. I kind of felt you were making a rod for Joe Gomez' own back. I mean, actually, to be honest, Joe Gomez' performance summed up Liverpool first half. He was atrocious first half. He was excellent second half. But I also think the reason he looked better second half was we actually had a midfield that actually functioned, because it was so much that first half flashbacks of last year where they were just bad. Liverpool give the ball away. And you've got to give Wolves credit. They clearly had the plan, which was bypass the midfield where you can and get pace out wide to Neto. And, look, Neto, when he's fit, he's an outrageously brilliant winger, and he'll tear apart very good defenders all the time. So there's no shame in Joe Gomez getting ripped by Neto, because I think a lot will. It's just keeping him fit. But again, we saw second half functioning midfield. I don't think Neto got a kick second half.
I think he had one time where the ball came to him and he was able to run at our defense. But I mean,
but you know what I mean? He was like, man, he was bordering on man of the match. This guy looks like a will be. Second half, you're going, I forgot he was playing.
Yeah. Again, Wolves had pretty much the mirrored game as Liverpool. Wolves completely dominated the first half. Like, I think I saw that at halftime they had 26 touches in our box to our 10 in theirs. Like, they were so dominant, and a lot of that came through Pedro Neto and Matheus Cunha. Cunha looked like he was playing. So I can't remember when the last show. Oh, I guess on Thursday, doing the show talking about the preview for the weekend's games and being like, hopefully we don't see the Wolves that we saw in the first week of the year against Manchester United, where Cunha was just getting the ball and driving at the United defense, and it looked like they could score at any opportunity. And sure as shit, that's exactly what we saw. Like, Cunha was getting the ball, driving right at us. We couldn't seem to touch him. I mean, McAllister gets a yellow card after 4 minutes, after he gives the ball away and Cunha drives past him.
It's the softest yellow card. It's the softest yellow card. Yeah. It's almost like he's been booked for the intent, which is, I saw you go to grab him. The fact is, you actually didn't grab him because you missed him. He fell over, and you got booked for it. So it's almost like, I booked you because I knew what you were going to do, which seems a bit a bizarre booking.
It's very Minority Report. They presume that they just figured in the future he was going to commit a yellow card foul, so just punish him ahead of time. But
especially when we see second half, I mean, literally, I'll have to bring it up. Darwin Núñez, the guy's hanging off his shoulder. He stands still, pulls him over, stops the counter attack, and the ref goes, "Yeah, free kick, play on." Yeah. You're like, no yellow. Right at half time, we are nearly clean through. Jota's took out. It's a late tackle. It's one of them. He's going to be clean through to pass into Mo. No yellow. So again, it's this lack of consistency, which is just maddening at times, which is why you get annoyed with it. Anthony, there was a great point, and he's right. Stop Neto, you stop the service. And first half, we didn't do that. Second half, we did that brilliantly. Yeah, that's pretty much it, because that's also why you keep him quiet. That's why Mo Salah looks brilliant second half, and first half didn't get a kick. And when he did, he had 3 lads on him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it didn't take very long for Wolves. I'm not sure whether it was Gary O'Neill's game plan or it's just the natural way the game developed, but Pedro Neto cutting in off of the left. Gomez seemed like he was so concerned with the overlap going outside of him, and Matip wasn't able to close the space down. It just left this gap between Gomez and Matip for Neto to get the ball, pick his head up, make one move, send Gomez this way. Matip's flat-footed, and he cuts in down that channel into our box, and that's where their goal comes from. He absolutely walks through Gomez, Matip. Szoboszlai is also fairly weak in the challenge.
He was fairly weak all first half, to be fair to him.
Yes. Well, that's what I get for captaining him in my fantasy league. So I apologize for that one, everybody. It's a great cutback from Pedro Neto, though. Like, that's that corridor of uncertainty. It's exactly where you want the ball to go. Kwanzaa's coming across to try to shut it down. He's not able to affect the play at all. And then I think Robertson is a bit
slow to react. And if I'm honest, even Alisson knows where that's going. And maybe if you're being hypercritical on Alisson, I mean, that's how brilliant Alisson is. What I'm looking going, I still expect Alisson to save it. I mean, he nearly did as well. You know, not that it's not a goalkeeper mistake. It's not me digging him out, but that's how good Alisson is. I just assumed he'd save it. But yeah, you know, look, those three should stop the cross. If you're being hypercritical, Kwanzaa, I think he should get up. I think he's a bit slow getting across to cut it out. And then Robbo's really slow to react. And again, but twice through legs. So if I'm honest, though, it had been coming for about 15 minutes. You're going like, Liverpool haven't woke up here. This is
well, it wasn't coming for 15 minutes because it was only in the 7th minute that the goal went in.
It felt like that half. I was going. It felt like I've been watching this for 15 minutes. Like it's so early. I was like, oh, this is God. But generally, the rest of the half, thank God, Wolves can't shoot, and Wolves don't score enough because Cunha misses an absolute sitter. I don't. He's like he jumps for a header, forgets he's too high, then then's not down quicker as kick it, and Kwanzaa gets it away. Maybe Kwanzaa puts him off slightly because he gets up there, but I was a bit like, how are we not 2-3-0 down here? We're absolutely dog turd.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the Cunha chance, the header that ends up hitting him right in the midsection. It looks very similar to Darwin Núñez against Aston Villa, where you think you're going to be able to head the ball. And I don't know. I think I saw one angle where it looked like Kwanzaa might have got the faintest touch on it, but he definitely affected the play. But
yeah, a bit like the Villa keeper did for Darwin's one. He does get a touch, but generally I was resigned to sit back going, this is 2-0. This is going to be a shit afternoon. This is going to ruin my weekend a little bit. So I was quite good for that.
Yeah. I mean, the big takeaway I had from the first half, I mean, it was basically just a series of Wolves chances. They end up having 4 corners in the first half of the game. So many giveaways. McAllister and Szoboszlai with the ball in the middle of the park. Like, the note I had is that our front three and Curtis Jones looked pretty much invisible on the pitch. They were not getting into the game at all. That's normally a bad thing, but compared to how often McAllister and Szoboszlai were just senselessly, carelessly giving the ball away in the middle of the park and putting us under pressure, those 4 were actually the best of the front 6 players, because the other 2 guys were just, it was so last year. That's exactly, if you forgot how last season went, watch the first. So Kieran B said he didn't get to see the first half of the game. If you want to remember last year, watch it.
It's just, apart from the goal scoring enough there, it was generally after Cunha missed that chance. I was generally sat there going, I still can't get my head around why Endo's not playing. Isn't this what you bought him for? Or I just didn't get it. I was just going, because I was generally thinking at half time there's going to be 3-4 of these took off. You're probably going to see like it might be the first time we've seen Liverpool do it 4 subs at half time. Because I was generally like, after I was going, I can't be arsed with this. I was generally really frustrated. And again, it was that the frustration was going, we've already given too many people an excuse, which is we don't like 12:30 starts. We were shit at them last year. Klopp hates 12:30 starts after internationals. He has a point, and he does have a point, which is since he's been at the club, we've had 12:30 starts after internationals. The next closest Spurs was 6. We're in the next one, So I generally think there shouldn't be allowed 12:30 starts after an international break. Just give for that one. You give TNT an 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And do you know what? If they said you play Wolves at 8 o'clock Saturday night, I don't even think anyone would have been asked over it. Liverpool would be happy because to get a bit more hours rest. And Wolves would be like, it's a night game. Night games are always better anyway. So, and it looks good on the telly. Cracking. That would be the easy resolve. But yeah, it just felt like you already gone, have Liverpool sort of bought into their own narrative, which is we hate 12:30s and we're not, we don't like them. Obviously we all had to, you're lucky because you have to watch it on TNT. We had to put up with Jermaine Genius, who loves Liverpool being shit. And he just, honestly, God, he was like making random things up. I've seen this guy's only had 7 touches. Have you been counting them? Oh no, somebody's told me in my ear. Why? Why are you making stuff up? Asking if certain players are natural strikers, and you're like, oh Jesus, what? Do you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, when you're such a top-level player as Jermaine Genius was, you're able to.
Journeyman overhyped footballer. Him, Robbie Savage, all the TNT commentators, they can all get in the bin. They're all rubbish. Even the Liverpool ones. Steve McManaman's horrendous as a co-commentator. So
yeah. So, I mean, we're getting to the end of the first half. We're really hanging on. It's at the point where everybody's messaging of like, just get the halftime 1-0. Just get the halftime 1-0. Stroke of 45 minutes, we get in. Mo has a shot that's blocked in the box after Sock, like, Craig Dawson tries to come and head the cross away from Luis Diaz. He doesn't quite get there. Jose Sa flaps at it. Mo has a snapshot. Craig Dawson, who was pretty phenomenal in this game at the back for Wolves.
He's a very good bottom half defender. I don't mean that disparagingly. He's the ultimate. If you just want someone to, throw the body on the line, keep stuff out. If you're trying to hold on to a lead, he's the sort of defender you'd want. He's the sort of player that you'd love. And he has a good record, goal scoring wise, against Liverpool as well. So another reason why we don't like Craig Dawson. It's a good, but then Sober's live shot. It's a good save by the keeper. As bad as we were, and we were pretty atrocious. I think I tweeted, "We are atrocious." I couldn't think of a better word to put us. You have to give Wolves credit. They had a game plan. It worked well. And once they got 1-0 up, they defended perfectly, which is basically you can have it wide, we're blocking the middle. And to be fair, with no Darwin Núñez on the pitch, there are limited people that you're thinking they're going to struggle to out jump. So you were generally going like, what are we going to do at half time? Because I was like, half time, I messaged you saying, when the positive you can say from the game is, well, at least we're only 1-0 down. That's kind of where the bar was for that first half. That was literally the only positive was, if you're like, oh God, and I was expecting Gakpo to go off, McAllister to go off. It wasn't surprising they changed one of the back four just to liven it up. And I thought, well, Jota was touch and go because I thought he tried hard. It just wasn't. It was one of those days where it wasn't coming off. Thought I could generally see made a case for about 4 lads going off. Comfortably.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those half times where you get the overreactions from pretty much the entire Liverpool fan base. Everybody's like,
just me.
Everybody's like that. Of like, there's got to be 3 changes at halftime. Like, we all know deep down that Klopp is almost never making halftime changes. So it needed to be done, but it was very good that he did make 1 halftime change in terms of bringing off Alexis McAllister and Luis Diaz.
Nigel makes another really good point, which is Sky UK need to offer a season ticket for your favourite club. You can have all the games, but it might be £200 a year. Do you know what? I'm amazed there isn't like a Netflix version of Premier League football where you can subscribe to every Premier League game, which might cost you a big piece of money. Or if you just care about your club, you can watch that. And loads of people would do that.
It's coming. It's coming.
It's got to be. Well, you can watch the games everywhere in the world, but the UK.
I mean, I get to watch them all. So let's hurry this up. There's 3 o'clock kickoffs coming on.
Oh, shut your face.
We're thankfully though. I mean, we've reached the nadir of the game. It's halftime. Everything's terrible. It's looking like it's going to be a Brothers Grimm type show.
It's a brave sub though. When you look at it.
It completely changes the team,
Yeah, bring on Diaz for McAllister. Listen, McAllister going up, I had no problem with it. I actually felt sorry for him, thinking he just looked knackered. And I was going, so we're going to see Gakpo centre mid then, which hasn't always worked this year, but we'll see how it goes. No, we're just going to go 4-2-4.
Yep.
And we're just going to really go at you and just pin you back, which I'm thinking, okay, that's quite brave away from home when you've been pretty much abject. And then again, we got the midfield got cut open so many times. They maybe just thought, okay, we haven't got one. Let's just put another up front and see what happens. But to Klopp's credit, the double pivot of Jones and Szoboszlai worked really well. Worked really well. If I'm honest, Jones probably did a bit more of a defensive work to allow Szoboszlai to go further forward, which freed him up. And Diaz, look, Diaz has had a fabulous start to the season, and he's so unlucky not to score after about 5 minutes. You forget with Diaz how good he is at heading. He's deceptively good at heading for not a dramatically tall guy, but he just gives you that bit of oomph where you go, "All right, okay, now I'm into this." This is more now like the Liverpool I know. So I was quite excited. Quite excited when I saw this lineup.
The training ground feel of it after we went to the double pivot. So Jota pushes. Basically, the way I saw it was Jota pushed wide right, Diaz wide left, and Gakpo and Salah were both basically playing through the middle. I felt like Salah came a lot more central throughout the second half as it went on. But the little movements at the back of cycling the ball, because we all of a sudden started just dominating the ball. We came out and until we score our goal, they barely put a foot on the ball. We're keeping the ball. When they fend the ball off, it's immediately coming back. We're winning the headers from our defensive line. We're recycling the ball and keeping it. And watching McAllister and Jones kind of sliding back and forth in that double pivot, playing those little triangles with the defenders. It was such a dramatic sea change from the first half. Like, it couldn't have been any different.
Gomez and Robbo became fullbacks because they basically were 4 centre backs because they couldn't get out. the amount of times you saw Gomez, doing what he's good at, which is holding the width, but doing the interplay and doing underlaps to give Mo a chance to cut in or go out, and thinking like, that's what you want Gomez to do, the traditional right back, which he's good at. He's just not an inverted fullback. But actually, as a traditional right back, he's absolutely fine. And his crossing is very underrated because I actually think his crossing quite decent. He's not Trent, but to be fair, no one is. So, but compared to most fullbacks, he's fine. So, but then and then about 52, they go like, all right, Liverpool going to make more changes. They're going to bring on Elliott and Nunes. You're thinking, oh, okay. I was thinking, I actually think we started this half quite well. This is quite dramatic, quite quickly. But I was thinking, well, Gakpo and Jota, they haven't done much all game, really. So it's probably them two coming off. And then they literally, for the last two touches, set up the equaliser. Yeah. And then get hooked. I mean, I suppose if you're going to go off, that's the best way to go off after you've just set up the equaliser. And Mo Salah again, he just loves an assist, doesn't he? He prefers assist to goals these days.
Well, it's his 200th goal involvement for the club, so he just keeps going. And what was the other stat that came around? 5 straight Premier League away games with an assist?
Yeah, only 2 players have been directly involved in 200-plus Premier League goals for Liverpool, Steven Gerrard and Mo Salah. So, very esteemed.
Yes, very esteemed.
Very esteemed. Do you know what I mean? That's the level you're talking now. And I think someone said now, I think he's now 18 assists short from being in the top 10 assist makers for the Premier League in the history. And I think he's 9 or 10 goals short now of being in the top 10 goal scorers all time Premier League. Enjoy Mo Salah while we've got him because, this is something you don't see very often. This is like elite level ridiculousness. Even when you think he's quiet, he gets a hat-trick of assists. That's what it is. I mean, just to give you a bit of an update on Mo, Andrew Beasley said just the 8 assists for Mo Salah in his last 5 games. That is ridiculous.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Yeah.
5 away games. Sorry, 5 away games, as you rightly pointed out.
Yeah. It's lovely to see his change from being the focal point in terms of being our number 1 finisher to that little reverse slot ball that he does when somebody's running through, and you see it for the goal. We saw a bit of this probably like 18 months ago where they started talking about it, say like, you're the strikers, no, I'm a winger. And they're like, no, you're. And I remember the guy interviews like, yeah, but you see he's a striker. He goes, no, I want goals and assists. I want to be the best of both. And he was really deadpan about it. We're like, because we all think Mo just cares about goals. That's it. He definitely wants both. He wants to be the best of both, which, listen, I'm all for. I could care. Quite like the fact he views it that way. As Project 5AM's put, 11 consecutive games now with a goal or assist for Mo. Ridiculous for. Absolutely flying, which is why any price for him should start with a 5 and have like 8 zeros or 9 zeros after it. Yeah, 5 billion. Let's go with that. We make the changes. It seems like we're going to go back to the 4-3-3 a little bit. And once again, cheerleader for Harvey Elliott that I am, a great substitute performance.
He's becoming the perfect. Unfortunately for Harvey, he's actually making himself the perfect sub. And I don't mean that disparagingly. You always like going like, I don't think I want Harvey Elliott starting many games for Liverpool this year, but I always want him coming on whether we're winning or losing because he affects the game in a positive way. And to give him his credit, so does Darwin. He's moving away from this whole Captain Chaos bollocks that we used to have last year with him. He's effective. It isn't always pretty. His passes don't always come off. He doesn't do the Gakpo thing where he keeps the ball nice and neat. But he was like dropping some lines down as deep as the 6s, picking the ball up, turning. He was protecting the ball better. So if he's going to get fouled, he's making sure it's a foul the ref can see and he doesn't lose the ball in the key area. And he starts to get a nice little link up with Diaz. He's already got that with Mo, but him and Diaz now are starting to get a nice little understanding as well, which is lovely to see. I mean, they linked up, they're going to talk about it, where, to be honest, Nunes gives Diaz an absolute shitbag of a ball to his hip. And Diaz controls it on his hip, lays it off to him. And to be fair, to give Jose Sarr credit, it's a really good save. Jose Sarr was a very busy boy second half. But you're watching going, you now look at Darwin going, whereas last year he looked a bit of a square peg round hole, we'll stick about left, it doesn't really work. Now you just go, we've got 3 lads who can play number 9, and they all play it very differently, depending on who you're playing. It's perfect. But as critical as I was with Klopp for his first half, team selection, Joe Gomez inverted right back. This is now probably the third, I think I'll probably say in every game this season now, Klopp's tactical changes and substitutions have got Liverpool the results. Or in the Chelsea game, made sure they didn't lose it. Yeah. And we've all been quite critical of Klopp and his lack of impactful subs and some of his tweaks that he makes. You've got to give him his flowers when 5 games in. You can't question every change he brings on works. And most of them aren't, and they aren't easy changes. Some of them, going 4-2-4 is brave. And then literally hooking the 2 lads who settled the equaliser, going, yeah, great, you're still good off, lads. I've got other plans for you. Off you go. Next ones. That's So
it really helps Klopp make good substitutions when you look at the strength of our bench today coming into the game. It's fantastic. And Virgil van Dijk and Thiago both to come back. So think about 2 of those players dropping off that bench. You're thinking probably Kwanzaa would come out. He wouldn't be on the bench. Or maybe Matip doesn't come on the bench and Kwanzaa takes his spot.
That's because if you base it on 4, I would actually drop Matip and keep Kwanzaa.
As would I.
It's a bit of both. That's how much Matip dropped. Now, to be fair to Matip, I actually thought he had a good second half. He makes a big block, in which we'll come to later, which he does really well with. And he looked a lot more relaxed on the ball and calmer and not as flustered. But in general, I just thought of 2 sets about Kwanzaa had the better game. So if it's a meritocracy, Kwanzaa drops out. And it's probably Bajcetic who's been on the bench. He probably loses the spot, but Bajcetic is probably going to play in. We'll talk about Europa League because I've seen some comments about Europa League. I think people are going to get quite upset. What I think
that's your favorite thing to do.
Not really. It's just that I
just our lovely audience.
I know. I'm sure we're going to DM about it at some point.
Speaking of our lovely audience, if you're listening to us live, thank you very much for joining us. Please hit the thumbs up button there on YouTube. If you're checking us out after the fact, like the video, rate the video, share the video, please. All those things help keep all this goodness free for you guys, and we love everybody that joins us. I have marked down our first error that I picked out of the second half. It was at 72 minutes when Joe Gomez just passed the ball right out of bounds to absolutely nobody. And it was such a difference because the first half was just a litany of personal errors. It was so nice that we were able to get, that first half of the second half out of our system, get the score back to level, affect changes in the game through substitutions. And then we get just a silly little error. But other than that, shortly after that, Michael Oliver actually blowed for a foul against Wolves, which was so rare that it merited being noted down in my little gameplay here. They made some changes then. They had Fabio Silva came on for Hee-Chi Huang. Matt Doherty came on for Cunha, which was very nice to see the back of him because he was excellent for the first half.
It made sense to bring Doxer because I think it was to keep trying quieten Diaz because he's better defensively than Huang. And of course, the commentary were going, Silva hasn't really took off from at Wolves, but it's just come out with a few goals. I was like, oh no,
don't you do it?
No. You think like I've heard this story before. It's really annoying. Stop bringing these hoodoos up. I hate them.
Yeah.
To be fair, Silva was what he's been at Wolves, anonymous.
Yes,
genuinely anonymous. It's one of the weirdest buys I've seen. Because listen, a couple of years time, he may come good. At the moment, it just looks like you're playing with 10.
Because he was expensive too, wasn't he? I think he was like 20-30 million or something like that.
I think it might be more than that. I think he might be one of their record signings.
And they bought him as an 18-year-old.
They went for potential and just.
Yeah, that's a perfect way of describing it. Bellegarde, the French midfielder for him that was making his Wolves debut today, he also came off. Yeah, he had one. He had one in the first half where he should have shot. He should have shot.
Yeah.
He tried some fancy back heel around the corner play when he was running onto the ball. He should have just been slamming it at goal. I'm going to bring this comment up here from Chris Golding. Special mention for Matt Doherty's haircut. think it looks my Ma. Thanks, Ma. It looks great. Honestly, he looks like an Australian rules football player with that quasi mullet he has going on.
Do you know what? This is how much I've sort of lost interest in other clubs. I generally was like, I thought he was still at Spurs. I generally forgot he'd moved. Do you know what I mean? There's been a few players like this season. Maybe I should pay more attention to doing football podcasts, but there are some moves you go like, I thought this guy had moved, or I didn't know he was still there. It's like when Phil Jones appeared for United a couple of seasons back. You're like, he's still there. I thought he'd gone.
I feel the same way. I just learned that Connor Cody is playing for Leicester this season, and I had
I knew that. I knew that one because he was giving it bigs of how he likes playing in blue, which I thought, oh dear me.
What are you doing? So after Wolves make their second raft of changes, I got marked down. It was 78 minutes. I said, now we got to steal the points. It's 1-1 at this point. We're clearly on top of them in the game. They're trying to make some changes to counterbalance our dominance that we've had in the second half. Jarrell Kwanzaa goes down shortly thereafter that. And it's like, oh, shit. No.
So it was weird because he went down and Jermaine just, why has the ref stopped the game? Went, because literally a guy lying on the floor, mate. You should probably know this part of the rules of the game. That's kind of how it works. And then we play on, and he lies down again. He's injured. And they were having a go saying, that forfeit is doing well to ignore Klopp because he's going ballistic. I'm going like, I don't think he's going ballistic at the forfeit. He looks like he's bollocking the medical staff. It's almost like, why did you take him off in the first place then? Why has he had to go down twice? Because clearly, the lad's it looks like cramp, which, you know what? It was a busy first half for him. He's only 20, and that's he was playing at Bristol last year, so this is a real step up in level to him. I mean, it's pretty handy that you have Canate to throw on for the last 15 minutes. Quite a handy sub.
And comes to the statement of like, if you're fit enough to be on the bench, you're fit enough to play. Like seeing him coming on, being like, "Oh shit, Klopp didn't think he was ready to go." Like, hopefully you don't get one of those.
Klopp communicating to going, yeah, it's max 10. He's going. I think he went max 15 to him. So they clearly had in the head going like, you are like, so proves he must have been emergencies only, see this game out.
Well, we don't really have any other options. I don't know who else would have come in as a defensive option, Chambers or somebody like that from the unders team, but
probably. Just put Boss like centre back. He seems to be boss everywhere else.
He
probably score from centre back. He's that good.
Craig Dawson, 84th minute, big block on Luis Diaz. Series of corners now. Again, the pressure's building. From the corner, Jose Saw catches it.
Anthony, good shout. Endo could have played centre back because he has played centre back for Japan.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, Jose Saw catches the corner. Another poor corner from Liverpool. He tries a quick restart.
I haven't seen the replays. Yeah, we're going with the Robbo bit, aren't we? Generally clears it. I thought he was out the area when he kicked it because he ran that much. I was convinced he got out the area when he kicked it. I was like, is he? And then took fair to Robbo. Robbo reads it, steps out, takes it down, and plays it out wide. And you thought, oh, great, we're back in the attack. And Robbo carried on going. I thought, oh, we've seen this before. He stopped, but you know what Robbo's like? He stops because he goes, it's fucking me. I don't shoot. He carried on, and Mo gets it outside the boot to him, and he falls to Robbo. Oh my god! And first time slots on the keeper. Very similar to what you said he did against Villa. Very similar to a goal he scored against Salzburg in the Champions League. Captain, fantastic, absolute brilliant. And I was like, I was so poignant. I thought, your first game was, captain, a few big names, 82th appearance. If I'm honest, he had a bit of a shit show against England for Scotland, with a mistake and that. So it's just one of those things, goals from somewhere else, it's a great finish. And look, celebrations are brilliant. You're just like, this is just becoming the habit. I mean, it is the habit. Liverpool have the most late goals in the Premier League history. It's a thing Liverpool do. Yeah. Which is why you always have that little hope in your head, which is like, I know there's 3 minutes left, but we might score because we've got that habit.
Because we're Liverpool.
But it was getting to that edgy stage of in your head going, right, how am I going to sort of spin this in my own head? Forget on here, on my own head. Point's not too bad because in my head I'm going, a point's shite. Generally, my head's got a point's rubbish. It's not real. This is not the games that are going to point in. There are other games where you can sell yourself a point, all right. Wolves away
to Chelsea. Away to Chelsea is one of those games
Chelsea,
where you can go, good point.
Or if you got, a draw away at West Ham, you go, West Ham away is a tough game. Away at Spurs is a tough game. Away at Arsenal. There are certain clubs you just go, away at Villa, actually, a point's not the worst position. Because there are just certain clubs you go, it's a ball it's going to win there. So actually, a draw's all right.
Yeah. This is definitely not one of those games. This was a game I felt was a must-win because I think we can challenge for the league this year. If we get a little bit of luck with injuries at the back, we've got the depth there. Look at the strength of our starting lineup, regardless of any changes we make, and look at how strong our bench is. Like, we've got good players, so we need to be winning games like this. The thing about the Robbo goal, it really gave me flashbacks. The ball that Mo plays for Robbo to chip it in, very reminiscent of Mo after he completely skinned Lisandro Martinez in the 7-0 when he slides that ball in for Gakpo, running into that same channel that Robbo was in. Maybe not as good a finish by Robbo as Gakpo's was against De Gea last season, but I mean, it's a great goal, and you got to be so happy for Robbo, especially me, because I put a fair amount of blame on him for that first goal. Like, if that had been Trent that had been asleep at the back post the way that Robbo was there, the narrative would be in full flow again about his inability to defend.
But Robbo doesn't make clicks, and Robbo doesn't make you attention.
Exactly.
Unfortunately,
He's
being
not
one of the best
English.
players around, you'll always get that. I mean, just put that into context. This win now, based on the same 5 games last season, we're already 5 points better off. Because we lost this game last year. We drew with Villa. Goal scored wise, we're actually a bit down, but I mean, I never expected us to beat Bournemouth again 9-0. So, you've got to sort of caveat that a little bit. But listen, this is what Liverpool have got to start doing is look at all the points you dropped last year. To shit like this, and pardon my language, but it was the bottom 10 away from home, we were crap against. Forget 12-30 or no 12-30. Bottom 10 away from home, we were awful. This is another step in the right direction. West Ham next is going to be an interesting one because West Ham are on the up, and it's just blown my mind. It's City West Ham. I assume this is a televised game for later. It's actually a 3:00 kickoff. Newcastle Brentford is a televised game. I'm like,
that's the big one. Come on, everybody wants to watch Newcastle Brentford. I mean, both those teams are on tour in the United States for preseason. That's how big they are.
Well, obviously, the big game is obviously tomorrow. Everton against Arsenal. Because quite frankly, we can make fun of whichever one loses, really. Because
Brighton have scored. Danny Welbeck puts a 1-0 for Brighton over Man United.
And also, Brighton, who did the double over Man United last year. They also did a double over us, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, anyway. The less we talk about that, the better. But let's get back and finish this off. Robbo has a good back post header when one of the few Wolves attacks that are coming up, it looked like it was going to be a corner, ends up being a goal kick. And then a few seconds after that, the ball's in the back of the net, and Harvey Elliott doing his best Green Bay Packer Lambeau leap in celebration afterwards for a goal that will not count for Harvey Elliott.
No, it is an own goal. But again, I think Mo tries to play it in, it gets cut back, and look, Mo again cuts back to Harvey Elliott. Does the right thing. First of all, it is, when you see the other angle, you're thinking, oh, neat finish. And you watch it, you go, it is going wide, deflection, takes it, near post in, which, do you know what?
Lovely.
It's an own goal, who cares? But listen, Liverpool probably deserved that because of the way they were pushing second half. I'm made up for Harvey. Him and Jones both got booked for jumping in the crowd to celebrate. Could care less. Because I do think
did they?
Yeah, they both got booked for jumping in the crowd. Because you can't do that, apparently. You can't show emotion. You're not allowed to show emotion in football. But again, it's just like Harvey Elliott coming off the bench, doing well. It's gonna. It does mean at some point we will be getting the calls for, well, when does Harvey Elliott get his start? The problem is when he's playing. Yeah, very soon. I got a feeling we're going to go ultra strong on Thursday night, which is going to piss everyone off. My gut feeling is we're going to go very strong against Lask. We're going to go very strong against West Ham. And then when we play Leicester the following week, rack of changes because it's the League Cup, and quite frankly, Klopp just doesn't give a shit about the League Cup. And the reason is I just think Liverpool want to start strong. I kind of get that Group 1 early. Partly so you can rest them in the other games, but also the last thing Liverpool want to do is finish second in that group, because otherwise it's two playoff games in February, which is a bit of a ball ache. So I just think we go with the trying to get it won early, so then we've got no European football until March. I kind of think that's what we're going to do.
I think there's no excuse for us not to top this group fairly easily, regardless of what. I don't think we need to go that strong. Like, do you think we're going to see Szoboszlai play 3 games in a row?
Possible. So I think you see. I wouldn't surprise you. Canati and Van Dijk play. Van Dijk's not played since Newcastle, and he played half an hour.
Yeah, that's fine.
He's basically had a month off. Canati could do the minutes in his legs. Gomez will have to do right back, so I've got them all because all of them are injured. I think Tsimikas will come in. And then I think you might see like Endo, McAllister, and possibly say like maybe that's a Gravenberch game. And then front 3, Darwin will definitely start. And I think you might, and you'll piss people off. It won't be, it's Salah and Diaz.
Yeah.
And then you say to get it done in the first 50, bang, take them off. Then we see the joy that is Ben Doak.
Yeah.
That's what
I don't think there's I can't see a world where Harvey Elliott doesn't start against Lask. I think he's an absolute nailed on starter because his performances have been good off the bench. He has to get his start somewhere. It feels like the sort of situation you have with guys like Kelleher that are just kind of on that cusp of not being good enough because the guy ahead of them in their position is just that much better, but still deserving of proper game time and the ability to try to stake a claim in the team. So I think Harvey's nailed on to start.
Most are saying Szoboszlai could play 365 days. It doesn't really matter. Wow. Jono corrects me. He is right. We only drew with Brighton at home, and then they beat us away. they did deserve to win. They also battered us in the FA Cup, so it just felt like Brighton beat us every week.
Yeah, we lost to Brighton. It felt like Brighton and Wolves. It felt like that's all we did for about a month there in
The
January.
Wolves away, I think Wolves away last year was kind of the break point when you went, oh, we're in so much. This team's in so much trouble. I mean, listen, it picked up a level I didn't think we didn't think it could get to, which does make this season a bit easier. But yeah, listen, 3-1 win. And I think I was saying to you, this second half will prove Liverpool are just a very good team, which would be top four, in and around top four, or Liverpool going to become a serious team again and start pushing higher. Is it perfect? No. Is the work to be done? Yes. The signs there that Liverpool this season are looking more and more like a serious team, more like you're going to be trying to push Man City and Arsenal, who are probably the ones you'd expect to be in the title race, rather than going, oh, we might be around top four, we might get third, we might, we feel like we're more pushing higher, which is what you want to be, what you should be.
Damn right.
You just gotta, but like you said, defensively, you just got to hope we keep enough lads fit, or maybe buy one in January. That could be a novelty.
Yeah, I mean, we could. I mean, there were strong links in the week to Piero Hincapié out of Bayer Leverkusen. So, that a name that was kind of bandied about in the summer.
I'll take your hints on him if you say, because you know what, if you lined him up, I wouldn't know who he is.
Yeah,
I know, and it's one of those names that appeared in the summer. I was like, oh, great, yeah, no idea who he is.
Sure. Yeah, big him up. He sounds great to me. There was a comment there, I think it was Chris Golding, mentioning Darwin's work for the third goal. I thought that was just fantastic. It shows such a difference from last season where he didn't really know where to go, used his body so well, shields the defender off, gets it, turns, we're down the other end, ball's in the back of the net. Happy, happy, happy days. Well, 96th minute, it looked like they were doing everything to get Gravenberch a goal. Gravenberch comes on in the 93rd minute.
I thought he was going to score goal. I thought he was going to score goal. It's always goal of the year. Where he's just going to go start. I'm going to do three jinks. Then he fell over the ball. I was like, but it's sort of listen. It was only like a little 5-minute cameo. But you're going, I can see how we work in Liverpool though.
Yep.
Not yet as a 6. Well, that remains to be seen. But do you know what? If he played there as top line, he going, I can see how that works. He just looks another really talented, good player. So. Look out for that. Now, Drago shouts out to Wolves, but they said they were very good. Wolves were good today. Less said about their fan base, the better, because it's just touring nonsense that you hear from them. But that's kind of the Wolves mantra you hear on the telly. And Wolves fans, if you don't like that, that's fine. Just you can literally hear what you're shouting on the telly. So let's not
It's I do have to say that's hard. That's hard lines for Wolves because that's two. I mean. Maybe 1.5 good performances that they've put in against good teams for a total of 0 points. They were good against Man United. They deserved points out of that, and they were so good in the first half today.
And they were good in spells against Palace. They scored 2 against Palace, but they were just too open at the back. Ironically, the only points they've got was when they were fucking atrocious because they were awful at Goodison Park. They were genuinely dreadful to watch, and how Everton didn't slap them 2 or 3, I'll never know. I mean, the fact they won 1-0 was glorious, but do you know what I mean? It's ironic. The worst they've played, it's actually the only game they're going to win in. It's funny how it works sometimes in football.
Football's a funny old game. So before we get out of here, Chris, we got 2 questions. One obviously will be about man of the match, but before we get there, why did they play 12 minutes of added time when he added on? Like, I know we scored and we made a substitute in there. Where did 4 extra minutes
come? I think it was the. They had to go get Jones and Elliott out the crowd. I think Jones and Elliott, to be fair, were crowd surfing for 2 minutes. I think they were on, all the away fans' backs going, "This is boss." This. I think that's where it came from. And so, Quanta went down a couple of times as well. So I think that sort of, yeah. So,
that felt like a bit much, especially with a 2-goal lead, where like what Wolves would have to do to turn it around it just felt like it was a far gone conclusion. It was quite strange.
Does anything surprise you with these officials these days? We may have to talk about this on a Thursday night show at some point.
It's like somebody had a bet on for a 3-2 Liverpool win, and they're just trying to keep it going as far as they could. But man of the match, Chris, who'd you like?
I'm going to go Robbo. Captain performance, winning goal. I thought he was all right first half, brilliant second half. I think Kwanzaa was very close because I just thought, for a debut in the Premier League, I don't think he did an awful lot wrong. And put it this way, I forgot he was a 20-year-old playing at centre-back. I think that's the compliment you give him, which is like, oh yeah, of course, Kwanzaa playing centre-back. you weren't panicking going, oh, Jesus Christ. No disrespect to, like when Reece Williams played centre back, you were in pins because, the poor lad just wasn't ready for that level. That's not his fault. He was just thrown in. Kwanzaa looks a lot more established, and, there's still a lot more developed to come out of him. So I was impressive. A couple of shouts for Mo, 3 assists, but, to be fair, it's a good shout.
He won't get the assist for the 3rd goal, will he?
I think so.
Oh, I thought the assist goes to the player that took the shank shot.
Well, at the moment, it's all. Well, at the moment, social media they're saying it's 3 assists for Mo. So
if it stays that way in the fantasy, my wife will be happy because she forgot to set her lineup, so she still had Mo captain.
So did I.
Of me reminding her
last night. I forgot, and I've got Mo captain. So actually, I'm hoping it's that as well. I remember to drop Trent because I remember the last minute he was injured.
Yeah. I would give the man of the match to Jarrell Kwanzaa just because if you take the match as a whole, I think he's the only outfield player that came out of the first half in the positive. I thought he was easily our best outfield player in the first half in terms of he made the fewest mistakes and he was there when we needed him to be there. And until he went down, he did everything we needed him to do. He looked so calm on the ball in the second half, so much more composed on the ball. And I got the feeling that he was getting a lot of help from Allison. But Allison was always exactly where he needed him to be. Kwanzaa knew that all he had to do was just open his body up and he could play that ball back pretty much anywhere in 180-degree range, and Allison was going to sweep it up for him. But that's a great debut for him, and what a start to his senior Liverpool career. I mean,
let's see.
Third performance now. Very good.
Quantum Geeks got Robbo. Project 5AM's got Kwanzaa. People at the Mouse has got Robbo. I think there was a shout for. Oh, you got Anthony's got Domo again. Soboslai. I thought he was very good second half. I thought he was pretty average first half. I'm being polite. I don't think he could pass the ball 2 yards. To be fair, neither could Paul McAllister.
No.
But listen, it is what it is. But listen, at least we won, and for a short period of time, we're top of the league until Man City score. So
exactly,
not happened yet. But, give it 5 minutes.
You can't be upset about this as a Liverpool fan. Obviously, there's things to improve on from that first half, and we did improve on those things.
Oh, so we're not top. If it's a draw, City draw, we're now second now on goal difference. This day's ruined now. That's it. That's me done.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we had our moment in the sun there until
didn't even last an hour. Didn't even get an hour of it.
Oh, Jesus, terrible. But yeah, really. Other than that, we got last coming up. I believe that's a 5:45 kickoff, is it not, on Thursday, isn't it?
Oh yeah, no, I finish work at 6. I'm going to try and do a bit of an early dart. I hope your boss not watching.
I finish work at 4:30 and it starts at 12:30 for me, so I'm going to have to get real creative with figuring out how I'm going to get off in terms of getting to watch the game.
Yeah, so the rest of the week we'll have the lads will be back tomorrow with Fatback 4 and the cycle starts again. Thursday night there'll be a post-match reaction, which will probably be me, Kev, maybe Matt. Matt might do.
I should be able to make it. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, so we'll do that. Which then means the Premier League show will probably get moved to Friday, like it used to be, just because Europa League takes priority, and then the cycle starts again. Fingers crossed, we're talking about a win in Europe as well. But all in all, right, let's go see if West Ham can beat City, because that'd be quite funny.
And Brighton can beat Man United. Yeah. So thanks everybody for joining us.
That's a foregone conclusion.
It's brilliant. Hit the like, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that goodness. Check out the LFC Daytrippers social media pages or the description of this video for the link for our charity partner. Getting very close to the end of this campaign for them. They're getting very close to their fundraising target, raising money for breast cancer awareness and running the Dublin City Marathon. If you can do that, that would be absolutely fantastic. But that's been another wonderful full-time Reds. We are 16 games undefeated. Happy days, Chris. Happy days. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.